Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about the elements of style. In fact, it's a title of the book. I really love this book, and I think it's helpful. I'd like to introduce this book to you later in my presentation. So there are two key elements of writing style. You want to be concise, and you also need to pay close attention to the use of voice and some clarity problems. And today we're going to focus on concision, and later next week we'll continue uh, this topic by focusing more on voice and clarity problems. In terms of concision, I would like to borrow a sentence or say a definition from the book I just mentioned, um, The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. So it writes that a sentence should contain no unnecessary words, a paragraph, no unnecessary sentences, and for same reason that a drawing should have no unnecessary lines and a machine no unnecessary parts. So this is the book I just mentioned. I really love it. It points out so many problems in writing shared by scholars, students, and even grad students, journalists, and even professional writers. So I think uh, it's important to you if you really want to improve your writing, and if you want to have a uh, reader friendly, let's say, paper or your final dissertation for your program, you really want to read this book. Um, I'm not sure if this cover is exactly the one that I bought years ago, but I purchased the one published by the Penguin Press in 2005. It contains some interesting illustrations and is, like I said, helpful. So I strongly recommend you buying one from Amazon or from other kinds of platforms. It's not that expensive. It's about $10 for a hard copy. And if you want to have a paperback copy, it will be even less expensive. So let's go back to concision problems. There are two principles that you want to keep in mind. First, you want to compress what you mean into fewest words. So you don't want to explain the same concept, same category, same figure or event over and over again. Um, and you don't want to state what your reader can easily infer. And in order to be concise, you must be precise. It means that you need to use clear and specific nouns related to clear verbs. So you need to pay attention to your use of verbs and nouns. Now let's talk about some common problems that I found in your first papers. Um, Redundancy, let's say. Redundancy is a problem not only shared by you or in your papers, but also by me, by other scholars and students. So it is really important to address this problem here. Um, so there are some redundant pairs, for example, full and complete, true and accurate. First and foremost, this one is really common. And also each and every and etc. There are also some redundant categories, for example, the period of time. I mean, I'm not saying you should not ever use these redundant pairs or not never redundant pairs, but for those redundant categories like the period of time, you should refrain yourself from using too much of it because it just makes your points obscure. Um, and also, there are some general categories with adjectives. For example, you want to say education, instead of educational process, there is a typo here, and you want to say athletics instead of athletic activities. And sometimes there are some redundant expressions that can be replaced by simply using because, since, or why. So, for example, the reason for the reason that, due to the fact that, and on the grounds that, these are some common redundant phrases, redundant expressions in your writing, and I think you really want to pay attention to your use of words and expressions in your second paper, so that your paper can be more readable, or let's say reader friendly. And another problem shared by many of you in writing is the use of meta discourse. The term meta discourse, sometimes in writing, is to describe a word or phrase that comments on what is in the sentence. So, usually as an introductory adverbial clause. Um, it is any phrase that is included within the clause or sentence that goes beyond the subject itself, often to examine the purpose of the sentence or response from the author. To put it in a simple way, it means this is to write about the writing itself. So sometimes the use of metaphors is useful and even necessary in writing, but just like I said about those redundant categories, you should avoid using too much of them. Otherwise, too much of those meta discourses, various ideas, just makes your points obscure, distracts the attention of your reader. So there are some examples of meta discourse. To sum up, frankly speaking, it has become clear that, in my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, just the same as in my opinion, and also I would like to point out that the argument, the topic should be clear just from reading blah 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 and just from analyzing blah blah blah. So these expressions, they sometimes they are useful, but when you want to use these expressions, you want to pay attention to what exactly you want to talk about in that sentence or in that paragraph. Otherwise, they are just words, meaningless words, not even effective. So now we want to have some practice. So for this sentence, I want you to tell me how much of this sentence can be removed to still convey the same meaning. So it's about the letter written by Pope Gregory VII to the Bishop Herman of Metz. It's from a source book. And then we will, in the second practice, is a little bit longer. It's a paragraph. So try to examine the sample paragraph and identify examples of redundant language, unnecessary phrases, and meta discourse. So it means in this paragraph, you're gonna find those redundant, those meaningless parts, and then try to identify, which one is which, and then try to improve this paragraph by removing some of these expressions, some of these unnecessary parts from the paragraph. Okay, so that's about concision, and we'll talk about voice and clarity later next week. I hope you enjoy today's presentation about writing skills. And before the end of this presentation, I want to introduce you a TV drama that is The Kingdom. It's available on Netflix, and I just finished watching this. Watching a season one and season two. In total, 12 episodes. I think it's a good TV drama, and it combines those powers, those conflicts, those groups of people fighting to each other to get the supreme power in the Korean court. So that's part one, and another part of this drama is zombies. So it pretty much it is thrilling, it's exciting. Though there are some violent and brutal scenes in the TV drama, so you want to pay attention to that. But I think in general, it's a good thing, and by watching this, I hope you can. I mean, of course, I want you to enjoy it, and try not to pay too much attention to the information about the coronavirus in recent days. Just try to relax and stay at home and enjoy your time with your friends and family, or maybe not your friend, but your families. So just to be safe. Okay. See you next week.